All right, this is Unit 4, Formative 1, Video 6, Writing Equations. Okay, this is probably going to be one of the tougher sections because we're going to take information and we're going to write an equation, but we have to pick which equation we're going to use. I will tell you that when we do this, we won't use standard form. Okay, when we're writing equations, we'll put things in standard form, but we won't use standard form to start off with. Okay, so our answers will end up being in standard form, but not at the beginning. Okay, so there's two types of equations we're going to use: slope-intercept, which, remember, slope-intercept gives us our slope and our y-intercept. That's why it's named slope-intercept form. And then the new one you haven't seen yet is point-slope form. That we need the slope and we need just 1 point, and we can write in that. All right, so the first one we have here, and I gave a little hint over here with the box, we're given slope and we're given y-intercept. So what we want to do is we want to figure out which one of these forms has slope and y-intercept, okay? So again, I said we're not going to start off with with standard form, so that doesn't work. The next easiest one is slope-intercept form, and if you look, slope-intercept gives us a slope and the y-intercept, and that's what we have. So on the first one, we're going to use slope-intercept form. Okay, so we have y equals mx plus b, and we're going to sub in what we know. Okay, so we know that we know what our m is and our b is. So we're going to go ahead and plug in those numbers. So y equals, and instead of m, I'm going to put what m equals, which is 2/3. Okay, bring down the x, plus b, which is -3. Okay. All right, so now the directions say standard form. So we're not starting in standard form, but we do want our equation to look like this. So we want our x term plus our y term equals the c term. Okay. So just so you know, we want our x term plus our y term equals c, which is the constant. Okay. Well, if you look at this, we have our y's. Okay, our y is right there, which is good. Okay, we got our equal sign. Now this is our x term. It's on the right side, and I want it on the left side. So I'm going to have to move that over. Okay, and in order to move it, I have to subtract it because it's a positive. Okay, and then I'm going to bring down my -3. Okay, so right now we have -2/3 x plus y equals -3. It's almost in standard form, but in standard form, this a has to be positive and it has to be a whole number. So let me move some over here for you. Okay, so we're concentrating here on this -2/3. We need that to be a whole number, and we need it to be positive. Okay, so the thing that makes this a fraction is this denominator. So I want to get rid of the denominator. Okay, and remember, whenever we have the denominator, it's a division problem. So I'm going to multiply by what I want to get rid of, which is the 3, but I also need to multiply by a negative because I want to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this by, again, I want to get rid of the 3, so I'm going to multiply by 3 because that's going to end up canceling. And then I also want to get rid of the negative, so I'm going to multiply by -3. Okay, so when I multiply, remember that cancels, so you're not actually multiplying the first term, okay, because it cancels. Now we have -2x, and then -3 times y is -3y, and then -3 times -3 is a +9. Oops, that's positive, sorry. Okay, and then that's my answer. Okay, we'll do another one. This is probably tougher. All right, so if we look here, they give us slope, which is m, and they give us a point. Okay, so we want to look. Okay, it's not standard form. Now this gives us slope and y-intercept. Okay, we don't have that, so we're not going to use that. So that means we need to use point-slope form. Okay, so point-slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m x minus x sub 1. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to sub in. Okay, so first thing you need to remember is these that do not have the 1's stay. Okay, so we're not going to touch that x and that y. Okay, everything else is a substitution. Okay, so we have our y, okay, minus, and then what's your y value? So this is my y value, it's -1. Bring down my equal. My slope here is negative 1/4, parentheses, again, remember we're not going to touch that x, minus, and my x value is 8. Okay, so the first thing is just a substitution problem. Okay, so now I have to work it out, so I have to distribute, so let's catch up. Negative 1/4 times x is negative 1/4 x, and then negative 1/4 times a negative 8 is a positive 2. Okay. So I need to move, okay, get everything together. Remember, now we want to be in standard form. So we want an x term plus our y term equals c. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my 1, move that over. So if y equals negative 1/4 x plus 1. Okay. All right, so right now it's in slope-intercept form. Right now it looks like this one. Okay. So I need to move my x value over, and when I move it over, it becomes the opposite. So it's a negative, so it becomes a positive 1/4 x plus y equals 1. Okay, so we're trying to get it in standard form. Now we can't have the fraction, so I'm going to multiply by the denominator. Okay, so I'm going to distribute. That cancels, so I end up with 1x plus 4y equals 4. Okay, and then that's my answer in standard form. All right, last one. Oops. Okay. We're going to need some more space. Okay. So on this one, again, we're not going to start with standard form. Okay, we're given 2 points. Okay, so we can't use slope-intercept form because I can figure out my slope, but I don't have my y-intercept. Okay, so we're going to use point-slope form. So before I can do this, I have a point, but I don't have my slope. So I'm going to need to find my slope. So I'm going to take my y sub 2 minus y sub 1, x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I get negative 8 over 4, which gives me a negative 2 slope. Okay, so now I have my slope, and I'm looking for a point. It doesn't matter what point. I'm going to go ahead and use the first one. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug it into our point-slope form. Remember, we have y minus y sub 1 equals m x minus x sub 1. Okay, so again, remember that we are not going to touch this letter without a number, and then we're not going to touch this one. So we're going to sub something into the rest of the problems. Okay. So we have y minus. Now my y value is 2 equals, and my slope I said was negative 2, so I'm going to put that in there. X, and then my x value is 3. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. I'm going to move this over so I have room. Okay, so all I did was distribute my negative 2. Now I'm going to add 2, so I'm going to isolate the y. So y equals negative 2x plus 8. Okay. Now remember, we want standard form, so I need my x term over here. So, all right, so I'm going to take our x term over. Now remember, we're crossing the equal sign, so it's going to make it a positive 2x. Okay. Make sure your a term is positive and it's not a fraction, and in this case we are done. Okay, I know this is probably the toughest and there's a lot of stuff here. We will spend some time in class going over this, but make sure you take good notes and write some stuff down if you need to.